All right. You ready for Who the Said That?
Let's do it.
This week's Who the Said That? What is a man but the sum of his memories? We are the stories we live, the tales we tell ourselves.
Ooh.
Sounds familiar.
Said.
Yeah, it's definitely another one I know.
Oh. Stay tuned to the end of the podcast.
God damn it.
God damn it, no! All right, let's get it going.
Let's get good.
What episode is it?
I thought you should know this before you started.
I should probably know this.
This is your one responsibility this week.
Yeah,
Just
I know.
number the next one.
Yeah.
What is it?
Hang on. I'll double check.
212? Oh, Lou's going to be laughing as he listens back to this. Sorry, I was thinking about this afternoon going, I need to remember what that is.
214?
214?
214.
Let's go with 214.
If it's wrong,
He can dub it.
that'll teach not being here.
Welcome to the Aussie Gamers Express video game podcast. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of May. I am your host, Snoogs. That's right, I've been given the big boy chair this week because Lucas is not here. He's having some time off. And being as though I don't have the witty remarks, here are my co-hosts. Or I should say, welcome my co-hosts, Rem and Grejio. How are you guys?
Good.
You all
Yeah,
having fun?
I'm good, man. Tired, but good.
Tired but good. You haven't been having your sleep this week?
You know, leveling up the third child.
Leveling up the third
takes
child,
a
does
bit
it?
out of you.
Well, on this week's show, it'll probably be a bit of a shorter one this week, but we have our video game discussion and a couple of bits and pieces of news. No games this week, unfortunately, but we do have a What's That Sound, which I got to pick this afternoon. I hope it's enough to throw you off. And then, of course, last words. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right. Who wants to get it? Who wants to kick it off? Anyone got
I
something
will.
exciting?
With something really exciting.
Really exciting.
Yeah, like you guys are going to be so pumped when I tell you the title of this game.
Edge of my seat.
Ready? No Man Sky.
Yeah.
Is
So
it
you guys
terrible
are
that
already
I'm
like,
actually-
oh my goodness, I can't wait for this news. So it's coming to
I've
Xbox
reinstalled it.
One. How excited are you guys for this?
Does it work? Is there content?
So, all right, let's get a bit serious. All right, so it's coming out to Xbox One towards the end of July.
Yes, sir.
They're going to release it with all the current updates and patches and all that jazz that have put into everything that the game has so far on PlayStation. However, there is going to be one new thing that comes out on both.
I'm actually looking forward to this new thing.
Sorry, hang on. It comes out on all of them, which will be, finally, online multiplayer.
That's one. I've actually been looking forward to this, the multiplayer side of it, because it's been a long time coming.
Well, yeah, it's been promised since development, hasn't it? So
Exactly.
it'd be good to see how well that goes.
So yeah, they're promising that it's coming. It will be on release the same date as it's released on Xbox. It will be a patch for the PlayStation and PC, and you will be able to play with your friends as they promised, play with other players, and fight with other players if you so need to. So it will literally become Space of Thieves.
Space griefing.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like if Deep Rock Galactic and Sea of Thieves had a baby, we now have No Man's Sky. Except No Man's Sky became before both of them, so there's like this weird time loop thing that's going on.
As we're getting into it, quick g'day to Radicus, who's joined us live. Thanks a lot for dropping in, mate. And no, it didn't have multiplayer before.
Much to most people's disappointment.
Yeah, one thing I do have to say about No Man's Sky, though, it's actually a lot better than a lot of people made it out to be. So when it took off, it did have this rocky start, and they were constantly adding to it and constantly building on it. But when you actually got to the point where you were following the story that had you jumping from sector to sector, that was actually quite intriguing about what you had to do to build and move on to sections, because you'd have to go and look for materials and then build to build a jump drive, or to fuel your jump drive, I should say. And so you'd go out onto the planet you're on, or the nearby planets in the system, get the materials that you need, and then off you go to the next system. So it was actually pretty good. It's just that it in no way promised the
no one delivered on the promises it made.
Sorry,
so essentially,
no way delivered.
What happened was, I promised you your first car would be a Ferrari, and they delivered a Hyundai Excel, and then turned around and went, but it's still a car. It's still your first car. You still get to drive around. You still get to do all the things you would do in a car. And you're like, but it's not a Ferrari.
But it's red and it has a wing.
Yeah, look, it's still a good car. It will still get you from A to B. It'll still do what you want it to do. It's just, it won't do it fast. It won't do it flashy. It won't do it comfortably. But it will still do it. Kind of scenario.
The big question is, are you guys going to try it out? Or are you just going to say, Pat, can I borrow your copy?
Look,
either way it works.
The thing with it is, clearly it was a big disappointment. Now, for me, I'll see what the cost is on release, because I don't know what it is at the moment, because it's on PlayStation, so I don't care. Mm-hmm. If it's a reasonable price, I'll seriously look at it. If it's like a full AAA rated game price, I'd be like,
oh, I doubt it. Yeah,
I can probably live without the experience.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the price is on Xbox, because I'm aware that there are plenty of copies around for PlayStation with a massive price drop, considering the disappointment around it on release. So I'd say you could probably get an affordable copy, but I will be interested to see where that lands when it comes to Xbox, how they price that.
Yeah, I reckon if it's any more than $20 to $30, they're kidding themselves.
Yeah, no, well, you wouldn't. Yeah,
and
unless you have no other option.
I'm only saying $30 for the convenience of having it digital. I wouldn't pay $30 for a physical one.
You're right,
and that's only because we don't know where the next stage is. We don't know. We've been burnt in the past, but
yeah, and the other thing is, I would definitely wait. I'm not going to get, even if I was excited about this, I would still be tempered and wait a couple of weeks, see how see who already has the game, who's coming back just to play it, and see how it's been fixed, and I'll be seeing what they say before I jump in that pool. For the same reason, we've been burnt by the promise before, and it doesn't matter how well they deliver on this promise now. They've already burnt us once. We're going to be a little bit more cautious the second time around.
Yeah, there's not so much hype around it now.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. Other things for me this week, I have something to say about God of War.
Mm-hmm.
It can get right in its dirty little hole. That's the level of frustration that I'm at with the moment. And you know what? The only reason for this frustration is me and me alone. Solely because I cannot beat the last goddamn Valkyrie. Without a word of a lie, last night alone, which was my third go at trying to have a crack at it, I reckon I died 30 to 40 times. Just could not get past it. Could not. It's all the other Valkyries. I've gotten to a point in the game where I've walked through them. They were difficult, but you get the movements down and you get the blocking down right, and you can make it through. This one, she moves quicker. She hits a butt-ton harder. And I can't get it right. The amount of times last night that I got her down to less than 10% health, and she just went ballistic and knocked out all my health in like 2 moves. That was it. Swore, twisted the controller. I think I actually threw the controller over my shoulder at one stage and just walked away.
Now, I don't know if you remember, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I remember, well, it's probably 4 weeks ago now, but you guys were here talking about your first plays, and I said, is there that level of rage-inducing difficulty
I found it.
that old God of War had? And everyone's like, no, Greg, no, it's good. It's friendly. It's every man's God of War.
But this is
they just saved it to the end, haven't they?
No, it is.
Sounds like
It is, because the only reason I'm doing this is a complete and utter side quest. This has no bearing on the overall game at all. That's what makes it so frustrating, because I have 4 trophies left to get for the platinum. Freeing all the Valkyries, hence the fact that I'm doing this. And then the other 3 are collectibles. This one, I can't believe it. It is frustratingly difficult, and I've seen some people out there that they're like, oh yeah, 3 or 4 goes and I got through it. I don't know what it is. I cannot for the life of me get past it. I've tried different setups of the armor that I'm wearing. I've tried different setups with the weapons that I'm using. It's, I think I've got my weapons to a good spot where I'm doing a lot of runic damage to her. So, anytime I unleash a special, it does a lot of damage. But the problem is that you've also got to be exceptionally quick when she's attacking to be able to get out of the way and they're not single phase attacks either. Some of them are 3 and 4 phase attacks. So where you dodge once and you'll get out of the way, if you dodge, say, right instead of left, you'll get hit by her follow-up attacks. It's a lot to get through, and yeah, frustration on late night got the better of me.
Fair enough. I'm just glad there's a chink in its armor for someone who loves the game so much, and I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid.
I don't think it'd be really be classified as a chink in the armor, because it is all on me. But yeah, controller twisting. I think I've got the white PS4 Pro with the white controller, which is quite a nice controller, I must say, and I heard it actually creak last night. So it was at that stage, considering that I had headphones on as well. So it was at that stage where it's like, all right, well, that's enough. So I put it down and I started Destiny 2, the Warmind DLC.
So, what'd you think? We all heard what I thought last week, so...
Yeah, see, I don't have the same affection for the first one that you had. Or
sure.
So things that a lot of those references I don't get. I noticed a few parts of it where my special weapons, my exotics, did actually have a bit more punch.
Yep.
Like yourself, I don't run exotics generally.
Yep.
I run an auto rifle, a submachine gun, and usually a sword, actually. Because that's what I found best with playing multiplayer. It was more fun.
Yep.
I don't have multiple gear sets or anything like that. My gear that I'm using is still the gear from the first lot of Eververse, like the first round that they ever did.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's that lot of armor.
Yep.
Because it's the only set that I've actually got every piece to.
Sure.
Yeah, but other than that, it's more of the same, really. I was only playing it on my own. Still felt fine. I just liked the fact that I had the relentless controller back. So I was getting stuck into that. It was all starting to feel right again.
Yep.
And yeah, so I played that for a bit and played a few rounds of multiplayer. What's it called? Gone blank.
Crucible.
That's the one. Yes, I played a few rounds of that. Still got I literally played the DLC until you get let out into the open world for the first time. You know, when everyone else is there. So, yeah, that's all of it.
So you haven't finished the storyline? Is that what you're telling me? Or?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. I don't want to spoil the story, so
Yeah.
I find there's some weirdness in the story as well that just seems to be, I don't know what Bungie are doing. They're frustrating me. For a game that should be a lot better than it is, they just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. I don't get why. And this is why I made the comment last week that it feels more than ever that this is content that was made when they made the rest of Destiny 2, and now they're just drip feeding it to us. Now, I'm under no illusion that that's pretty much par for the course for all developers these days, but it really smacks of that here, because there's so many things that the community has turned around and said, this is what we want, this is what the problems are, please fix. And they've gone about trying to fix some of those things, so they're clearly listening, but it's all patch stuff. There's nothing built in to say that they've tried to fix story or character progression, or that, like, it literally is more so a ham-fisted story than what the Osiris DLC was last season. Like, that was a boring story. I couldn't care less about Osiris. Like, considering how much lore there is built around his character, especially in the first game, to then have a DLC based about him and then you just don't give a toss. It's really hard to take that and go, Bungie's doing the right thing with the story and lore here.
Yeah.
They're not. So,
well, being that the story is really only a very small part of the game, what have we got in store on the multiplayer side of things?
Well, one, I can't agree with you. The story isn't a big part of Destiny, because it is. They've just gone a weird way of telling it.
Yeah, but from what
to the side.
Play, for the time that you put into Destiny, the story section of it's only a very small part.
I'd like to say it is, but it's not for me. I play a lot more PvE than I play PvP.
Okay.
But I know there are people that they're PvPers. They just, you know, like you, like Luke, the only reason you guys really get into Destiny is for the PvP, because it is a unique PvP experience. Like, nothing plays like Destiny. There's a good reason they call it Crucible. It really does hone your PvP skills pretty well. The only game that I didn't see a marked improvement in first-person shooter skills from playing Destiny was playing Battlefield. You know, Battlefield is another very unique PvP experience, just because the mechanics are so vastly different. But if you want to play fast-paced gun battle, think on your feet kind of PvP action, Destiny has it hands down. I haven't played 6v6 since they've re-released it. I will be this week, because I believe that it's what they're using for Iron Banner, which starts this week. So by the time you guys listen to this, it'll be almost finished. So if you want to have a crack at it, get onto it now.
Yes, I can.
So I'll obviously update you guys next week what I think about that, and see how many ornaments I get.
All right. Well, being that Destiny 2 has honed a lot of my PvP skills, I have some news about Fortnite. Okay, so some things that were bouncing around today. Epic Games will provide $100 million for Fortnite esports tournament prize pools in the first year of competitive play.
All right, now, before you continue, be honest with yourselves. How many people put their pinkies up to their mouths just then?
Absolutely.
I may have.
I'm pretty sure Epic did when they released that. They were just like, we're going to release $1 million. So, yeah.
Well, I've got a bit of a statement here from Epic themselves. Grab your gear, drop in and start training. Since the launch of Fortnite Battle Royale, we've watched the passion for community competition grow and can't wait to empower you to battle with the best. In the 2018-2019 season, Epic Games will provide $100 million to fund prize pools for Fortnite competitions. We're getting behind competitive play in a big way, but our approach will be different. We plan to be more inclusive and focused on the joy of playing and watching the game. Stay tuned for more details about competitive structures and eligible platforms in the weeks ahead. $100 million.
No, that means right.
A lot of people are paying a shit ton for a free game.
Exactly.
Wow. The fact that they're going to be involved in it, it says to me that it's kind of they want to run it and they want to do it their own way. That's fantastic. But it also says, damn, that's a ton of coin.
Yes, very much so.
Over a 2-year season or a 1-year season was that?
1 year season, so 18-19.
18-19, okay.
Yeah, so...
Right, so over a year, yeah.
Yeah. So, being as are they US based? It'd probably be, was it October to September?
Okay.
I'd say.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what they do with that.
I couldn't believe that when I read it today. I thought that's actually fantastic.
Well, I mean, it'll be a combined Pirates Brawl, but that's a decent amount spread across many different. There'll be obviously regions that they play it in, so that'll be spread across the regions. But still, that's a decent amount of money.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's, I don't know.
Thanks to all those mobile gamers.
I don't know how it stacks up against some other competitions like WoW or anything like that, but I'm sure I'll hear about it coming soon. We'll find out some more information about it. Fingers crossed anyway. What about you, Rem? You been up to much? I heard we have a little guest as well.
Yes, she's not completely silent. Not too much for me, but I thought I should probably bring up Sea of Thieves is bringing out their first DLC at the end of the month.
Ooh, nice.
Called The Hungering Deep. They released a trailer in the last week, and it's basically a one-eyed, hook-handed, peg-legged pirate telling horror stories, but he mentions themes along, being able to summon creatures of the deep and new monsters that don't seem like the Kraken. Talking about, how the pirates could work together to do all these new different things. So it'll be interesting to see where they take that.
How can an online community work together?
Yeah. I hope that's the case. They do need to foster, I think, a lot more of that. Let's work together. But there'll be a whole lot of new cosmetics coming with that. I dare say it might include the pets, so like your parrots and things like that. But that's yet to be confirmed. There's really not much that they've said around it. It's sort of they've released the trailer and sort of just left it open to interpretation a fair bit. So, yeah, but not a long wait to find out exactly what's going on there.
I haven't actually seen anything for that yet. I'll have to go and hunt for it.
Yeah, I think you should. It's a good little trailer, actually. It's their usual humour style. So, yeah, it's a good watch.
So I'll enjoy it then. All right. Well, some other news I've got. Australia has once again struck hard. Of course, I'm talking about the Australian Classifications Board. Have you heard about this one today?
Oh, no.
We Happy Few has been refused classification in Australia. So,
is that right?
Yeah, so for the full release that's upcoming shortly, it falls in accordance. So what the actual reason that's been put on the classification website is, according to the National Classification Code / Computer Games Table, it classifies under 1A, computer games that depict, express or otherwise deal with matters of sex, drug misuse or addiction, crime, cruelty, violence or revolting or aberrant phenomena, in such a way that they offend against the standards of morality, decency and propriety generally accepted by reasonable adults to the extent that they should blah, 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 blah.
So I'm assuming that's based upon the taking of pills.
Yeah, I would dare say that. I haven't heard anything official, so to speak. It's still available on the Xbox store, but it's greyed out, so you can't actually purchase it now.
Right. Okay.
I still have the preview version of it, so hopefully that'll tick through. But
that'll be interesting to see how they're able to get around that, if they are. I mean, that's the entire premise of the game, basically, and not as easy to just rename as in Fallout,
Yeah, because it's So the entire premise of it was kind of like that Equilibrium movie, wasn't it? You're taking these drugs to give you a happy outlook on the world around you.
Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, so I would assume that that's where it's fallen down, but God, who knows? Maybe it's got written in the background. You know, there might be boobs somewhere. Just
Yeah, look, who knows?
Oh, we've got to protect the children.
I've watched a fair bit of gameplay on this, and there is a bit of an undercurrent. I guess you would say this kind of dark undercurrent, and there's kind of this whole psycho. In some situations, there's a bit of a psychosexual kind of deal going on with it. There's chemical-induced violence. It's actually a really dark game for what I've seen of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The fact that the classification board has knocked our classification board, like the people that have knocked back some really stupid stuff, it doesn't surprise me that they've kind of gone, ooh, this is, without someone sitting down and trying to, as usual, sit them down, hold their hand, and walk them through it. They're going to make this same jump again where they're like, no, it's bad. We don't understand it. It's just bad. Drugs are bad. Violence is bad. Sex in video games, bad. It's okay in the movie, but not in the game.
So considering how many games have been held back with lighter thematic instances for classification, do you think this one will get through?
As much as I hate to say it, I don't. Well, I could sit here really and rage on for 2 hours about my thoughts on the classification board and the bullshit that they're doing. Even to the point where I've actually put my name on a list to... because the way the classification board works in Australia is you send the details of your game to an independent party. That independent party then puts together a report and they send that to the classification board, and that's where the decision's made. So I've actually put my name on the list to actually be one of those independent parties.
Right, okay.
So you've got to get there's a lot of people on that list that want to do it. So from assumptions from a person that I was speaking to down there, they said you've got to come up the list. Once you come up the list, you go through and you get the proper certification for it, and then you're allowed to do it. So once that happens, sweet. If I'm in a position to do it, that'll be fantastic. But for now, I look at it this way. If some of the movies, some of the music, and then other art forms can get through, I don't understand why something like this can't get through. With it being like, if it's really that bad, it should just straight away, it's an R rating. Yeah. You know, it's a video game.
I mean, this is why we have the R rating, right?
Yeah, it's a video game for shit's sake. So you can't tell me, yes, there might be themes there, but really I look at it from a very different head than a lot of people too, because those themes, the way that they affect me would be the same as, you know, like The Last of Us and how that affected me. Like, I'm a grown-ass man playing a video game with tears streaming down his face. Like, that's just how that affected me. Yeah. And yes, Radicus does put a good example in that music and movies are not interactive.
And that's the biggest argument, isn't it, against games, is movies and books and music don't require you to play the part, and does that then lend itself to a deeper level of danger, I guess.
The big thing that the big reason that I have, and it's probably getting off topic, so it might be scrapped later on, but the biggest rebuttal that I have in regards to music, I've never heard of someone committing suicide because a game's been cancelled. Yes, true.
And to be fair,
off themselves over musicians dying, splitting up.
I know a lot of people who use music to express their emotions.
Yes.
And use that medium to express their emotions. I don't know too many people that go, well, no, I'll use one.
That's not true.
That's not true either, because I know that there are people that go, oh, I just played this game to get my aggression out. But they're getting their aggression out on the game. Yeah. They're not using, in some instances, I've seen the music used to then externalize to the rest of the world. And it sometimes fuels that emotion that then goes out into the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that with trolling and a fair bit of the PvP style, more aggressive players potentially. You could argue the same there, but yeah, I agree. I think majority of it gets taken out on the game, not so much other people. And if it is other people, it's usually behind a facade, and it's you know.
For me, the argument goes back even closer to the board. It's the fact that if you've deemed that this thing isn't R-rated, how have you deemed that it's above an R rating? And that's what they can't tell you. When people argue, they go, "Oh, they've just refused classification." They never explain why that actually didn't fit into the R category.
Yeah,
and that's what I find really frustrating.
And this is the same classification board that allowed Bad Boy Bobby through.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, to be fair, I don't see this game any worse than Grand Theft Auto. Let's be honest. Let's use Grand Theft Auto as the benchmark here. That got accepted classification as an MA-rated game.
Yeah.
At one point in time. Before we had an R rating system, that was an MA-rated game. This game does not have the same level of drug use. It might be more prevalent, but it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for, destructive in what it's actually showing.
Yeah.
It's playing the part of creating a world. Like Equilibrium. It's that post-apocalyptic dystopian future thing, and it's something that's been written about, sung about, made movies about. Why not make a game about it now?
Because
it's just a natural progression.
Because the children. Won't someone think of them? Anyway, I've got a good news story as well. Earlier this week, it was made official. So there's been some leaks floating around for the new controller from Microsoft.
Yeah.
So it was actually officially released this week. So it all revolves around accessible gaming, and it's an adaptive controller. So what it is, so it's a rather big rectangle controller with two buttons on it, or two big pads, I should say, as well as your Xbox button, your start, your whatever, and your D-pad. And what happens is it's fully customizable. So if you're, for instance, can't use your fingers, or in some sort of way, challenged with using a standard controller, you can get this that plugs into your Xbox, and you can actually map what you require to this new controller. So a lot of people with different abilities and different needs have actually been using this, and it's actually been built with them in mind and pretty much by them. So it's been designed with a few different people with a few different disabilities in mind, and they've actually joined in and contributed to the construction of it, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Isn't it though?
When I first saw this bounced around the internet, it was like, oh yeah, someone's been on Photoshop and they've made a new controller coming up to E3. Then I got the official email through from Microsoft and absolutely blew me away. So there's a full write-up on our website about it, which is AussieGamersExpress.com. Get over there and check it out. But have you guys had a chance to have a look at it?
Yeah, I was watching Xbox's video that they released about it, and actually being able to watch these people playing using different methods with the controller, because you have all those ports at the back of the controller, so you can plug in whatever you need. Yep. Some of them had enlarged D-pads. Some of them had joysticks. They were able to use the side of their hand on the pads on the controller. Yep. There's a massive amount of different ways to play with this thing, and it's incredible. Like, as I was saying, you could literally play on this controller with one hand and one foot, or use your head if you needed to. Yep. And the fact that you can do that is incredible. How awesome is that, to open it up to more gamers, to make things just that bit easier?
So I have a question.
Shoot.
How long before we start seeing pro-level players using these peripherals just as an advanced elite controller system?
It's probably a good question. Something I probably can't answer.
It's not unusual. We see people doing stuff for YouTube. Like I like the dude that finished Dark Souls using the Guitar Hero guitar as a controller. That kind of malarkey, and that's fun. I enjoy that part of the world and people's creativity here. But I also know that when it comes to gaming, especially PvP, there's a million YouTube videos on how to best utilize holding a controller, the crabbing to using an elite controller, all that jazz. It's only a matter of time before, and I suggest that it's already happening. There's already some people out there looking at it going, instead of me having to use the two pads at the back of an elite controller, I can set up that thing so I can hit those in my feet while I'm doing these. I can relieve my feet now. I'm not taking away from what they're actually there for. I mean, it's an amazing thing that Xbox has done for these people, but it won't be long, I think, before normal able-bodied people are using these peripherals as an edge in competitive online gaming.
Well, luckily enough, we've been able to set up with Microsoft themselves when they do a reveal in Australia, which will probably be after E3. We've got ourselves an invite to go and have a look. So nice. Hopefully we can get on down and have a bit of a play with it and let everyone know just how cool it is. So fingers crossed for that one. Any other games we've played, or?
Well, for me, it's mainly been Destiny. I also played a bit of Need for Speed Payback. Still ticking that over, doing bits and pieces and that just for giggles, collectibles and the such. But as for news, how about some RDR2 news?
Yes, we always like those ones. Yeah.
All right, so we have a release date, which is October 26th. Unfortunately, that's only for PlayStation and Xbox. PC doesn't have a release date yet.
Good.
We do have some details about the game itself.
Ooh.
It is a prequel.
Yeah.
It is set 12 years earlier. You'll be playing as John Marsden again, which is how they get around the whole thing of, spoiler alert, killing him at the end of RDR1.
They had such an opportunity to carry the story on, but yeah, okay.
Yep, exactly. Look, RDR3 is not far away in the grand scheme of things. So you'll be playing as John Marsden again. He is part of a gang when he was 12 years younger called the Vanderlyn Gang. Essentially, the storyline will be you are doing a heist in the town of Blackwater. For those that played the last one, that'll be a familiar name to you because it's one of the major towns in the last Red Dead Redemption.
Yep.
The heist goes bad, and you and your gang are on the run. And eventually things just go from bad to worse as you try and outrun the law, keeping ahead of them and running into rival gangs along the way. So there'll be the usual tropes in the game. It's exploration, hunting, shootouts, side activities. I guarantee there'll be a heist mechanic in there, pretty much lifted straight from Grand Theft Auto. This will pretty much go really well in this game, considering you're all bank robbers. That's going to be a given.
Natural given, yeah.
Yep. There will be an online multiplayer, but how that plays out this time is not a great deal of detail. Last time it was pretty much just a bunch of multiplayer modes where, team death matches and stuff like that. There wasn't an actual open world, a real open world multiplayer feel.
It'd be a lot like GTA 5.
I'm going to suggest that it'll be very similar to that, and some of those features will come back. There'll be games of deathmatch and whatnot, and probably expect a battle royale mode because
everybody's doing it.
yeah, everybody's doing
because
it.
internet's-
Doing
yeah.
it. So 100 cowboys, 100 6-shooters.
Can we just
And-
be mounted
one-
and just ride around trying to shoot each other off?
And one bearded crazy dude called Cookie with a tin plate of beans. Here to win.
Oh, God.
Winner, winner, bean dinner.
Bean dinner.
Just
You
watch
guys-
out for Mungo. He's going to be the Thanos of RDR2's
God.
Battle Royale.
Yep.
Mungo. When you see, for those that don't know Mungo, he'll be the dude that punches out the horse. For those that don't get that reference, you're all too young.
Yep. Just know he'll be riding a blazing saddle.
He will.
Are you guys excited for it?
I
have
am
I have to
pumped
admit,
for
I'm a little
this.
bit pumped.
I am pumped.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
I'm pumped for as much information as I can sink my teeth into Fire E3 in a couple of weeks.
I think we're going to get it in spadefuls.
Mm.
To be fair, they're really been really tight-lipped so far about a lot of things. I think they're just going to open the floodgates, get us completely, stupidly excited for this game, and then in a couple of months' time, we'll be all
And then push the release date back to me.
cash in hand, go and take my money.
Yeah.
Literally, they'll just, if they can find a way to make throwing money at a screen a viable method of payment, they will literally have sold 1 billion copies before they even get there.
And EB Games will have a statue edition in 2 minutes.
Totally.
True.
Yes. Good on.
So,
the other big thing that's been flicking around too this week is State of Decay 2. Have you guys had a play of it yet?
No, I haven't been able to play that.
No? What about in the chat? Radicus, have you had a play? Well, let's see if he comes back. Have you guys... Is it not your thing, or...
look, zombie games aren't really my thing. I mean, we've discussed this a couple of times now.
Yeah.
They're not really my thing.
Don't float.
I'm sure we could literally have a really good Twitch stream of me just playing zombie games and just really hating them, and you guys just laughing your ass
that could
at
work,
me playing
yeah.
zombie games. But yeah, they're not really. I don't get it. There's nothing in it for me personally.
Nah, fair enough.
That's just me.
I was... I've played with Lucas and with Uncle Chunt. And we did a bit of a stream just before it was released last week, and I had an absolute ball, as I think we spoke about on last week's podcast, with our sort of early ideas and thoughts on the game. Since then, I've tried to play it on my own twice more, and I've got to say it doesn't do it for me.
Yep.
It just, as a multiplayer game, when you're having fun, you're laughing, you're jumping around, being a goose, but also working together towards something, that was fun. I had have no qualms in playing it again with other people, but actually playing it on my own, I had nothing. As weird as it sounds, it just there was nothing there. I got bored with it. I got frustrated with it very quickly, and just put it down. Haven't picked it back up yet.
Isn't it interesting? That seems to be a game that's very divisive on that score. Either you love the solo and not a fan of the multi, or vice versa.
Yeah, for all the little issues that it had pre-release, I'm going to fire it up tonight just to see. I believe there's a new download for it, like an update, being today's release day. So I'm going to kick it in the guts and have another play with it, hopefully tonight. But for it, all the little niggles never really bothered me. It is what it is. But yeah, when you're playing single player, it looked a lot better. It ran a lot better. Obviously, because I didn't have the draw of the network on it. But yeah, just didn't do it for me, unfortunately. Because I was looking forward to try and get into it and actually building my base and starting to build up and have something sitting there. But yeah, it's just gone by the wayside. But I do have a reason for bringing that up as well. There has been a bit of an idea that's been released today, ranking Australia's major cities and how they would go in a zombie survival. So if there was the zombie apocalypse, how would the major cities around Australia and New Zealand go? First and foremost, this is not my list, so Brisbane, I am sorry, but whoever put this list doesn't think you're a major city. So, the worst one, the bottom of the list is Auckland. Fast spread of infection, close proximity to other cities, ports, and the greatest potential starting points of attack. Boom. Auckland is gone. Then we go over to Perth. Again, it's a fast spread of infection. I don't understand how they get these, but fast spread of infection in Perth. The residents are likely to bear arms, and it's an isolated location. Number 4 on the list is Sydney. And this is Sydney down to a T, really. High population density, as we all know, a quick spread of infection, false sense of survival security. So, yeah, I'm liking that idea. Radicus, I do apologise as well. Adelaide's not on there. Just looking over it now. That's only because all the zombies go there and just die again. Third is Melbourne. Survivors are likely to stay in groups, so you got all your hipster zombies walking around. Then, of course, we go over to Queenstown. It's a slow spread in the early stages, I'm guessing because it's isolated, it's very cold, and the residents are likely to bear arms. And the number one place to live in Australia and New Zealand, if there was an outbreak, if there was a zombie outbreak, is, of course, Darwin. Darwin is isolated. It's very community-based, so everyone's likely to protect each other's. And most of them are armed, let's be honest. So
I don't know how Perth doesn't come just under Darwin then, for the same reason. Because it's in the middle of, nowhere.
Yeah, but it's a bit more, city feel, I think.
We're obviously talking about Perth proper. Because the rest of WA would be fine. Yeah,
the rest of WA would be fine. Perth would be all right, except it'd probably take it 40 years for the virus to get there.
Well, once it got there, it'd take 40 years to get out. Because we all know that people, and no offense to people in Perth, I have family that's lived over there. You all think that half an hour out of town deserves a packed lunch.
I have family that lives over there, and I go over there quite often, and you really realise you're from Sydney when you go to Perth. Beautiful spot.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely beautiful spot. Love it.
It's like Sydney 30 years ago. No offense, I like that about it, but yeah, like I said, if you have to leave half an hour out of town, they want you to pack a lunch.
Yep.
You realize I'll travel more than that just to go to work every day. And they look at you with this sheer look of horror on their face.
Yeah.
But look, WA, you're awesome. As much as you think that we think that you're not, because you think there's some conspiracy between you and us. There's not, we promise.
So yeah, Fortnite's update will be live when this goes, and when this goes live, the update will be done, and jetpacks in Fortnite.
Bounce around even more than you thought you could.
Just because,
To be fair, jetpacks. This is really more just because it's really destroying the rest of the map before. Because part of the beauty of the Fortnite maps, you actually kind of have to build to get over some of the terrain when you sometimes get cornered and stuff like that with the circle and sometimes in a firefight because, you can't just jump over stuff. With a jetpack, you now can literally clear a lot of obstacles on the map that you wouldn't otherwise normally. be able to. Just doesn't this sort of kill part of your building mechanic?
I would say it would, yeah. I suppose it just depends on how they work it, whether it's a vertical jump or a horizontal rush.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it could be a bit of both. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out
Tomorrow.
I'll definitely find out because I'll be playing it.
Yeah.
This bloody addiction that I've got. Yep.
You need to go to FA, my friend.
Yes. Yep. Rem, you got anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
No. Well, the last bit of news I've got. Did either of you guys play the Yakuza series?
I have not.
No.
No. Well,
I have heard that Yakuza 6 is a bit of a grind for the first couple of hours, though.
Yeah. Well, they pretty much all are.
Yeah.
Well, this week Sega has apparently announced that Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 are getting remasters for the PlayStation 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Cool.
Yakuza 3's remaster, all I've got here is that they're releasing in Japan, so whether they'll come to the Western world, I don't know at this stage, but we'll keep an eye out and see what happens. So Yakuza 3's remaster will release in Japan August 9. It'll come with a download code for the soundtrack as well. Yakuza 4 releases in fall of 2018, so that'll be our spring. And Yakuza 5 will be in autumn of 2019. So three.
And just for PlayStation, yeah? It's not for anything else?
Yeah, it just says remasters on PlayStation 4.
Is that because that's the only way you guys can play backwards compatible stuff?
Maybe.
Sorry.
I don't know if the Yakuza stuff was released on the Xbox, was it?
What, Yakuza?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure. Look, I don't know that for a fact. Hang on. Give me a second. I'll check.
Yeah. Well, either way, all three remasters will see improved resolutions and frame rates.
And do you get a microtransaction baby that you can carry around so you can be more like the latest release?
What? I missed that one.
All I hear about the latest release of Yakuza is that you've got a baby that you've got to carry around and palm off to people so you can fight.
Oh my god. That suddenly took on a whole new mechanic for me.
I know. And you shake the baby, which is terrible, but apparently part of the game.
Why won't you be quiet?
No. Like, this is terrible parenting. What are you doing?
The seedy back alleys of Tokyo.
I know.
I can now confirm that no, it didn't come out on Xbox. But still, if it had come out on Xbox, I would still be able to play them all on Xbox. So I remain firm in my statement. Having said that, I can get the movie The Yakuza, directed by Sidney Pollack.
Pass.
Not that that's,
It's not the same, but yes.
Look,
Sweet.
it was an amazing movie for... I'm just
First
saying.
time. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty.
I digress.
Well,
I really dragged that down.
there you go. Anyone got anything else?
Not news-wise, man.
Not news-wise?
Not this week.
All right. Well, on to What's That Sound? All right. Fingers crossed that I have set this up right. Because if I haven't, I might just cry and just cancel and just delete everything. So I don't have last week's What That Sound. Luke, can you put last week's What's That Sound here?
There's an awful lot of people in here.
Please, Dad, can I have one? I would really love to have one. Please, Dad, come on.
Okay, let's go buy a balloon.
Great!
This is the one that we all guessed, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
we all guessed
Yes,
last
it
week's What
was.
That Sound. Can you remember what it was?
We all know what it is, so we can
Yes.
just say what it was.
The one that was followed by Jason!
Jason!
Jason! We
Yes,
got a balloon.
Radicus. And Radicus actually sent us through a correct answer, and he's got it right again tonight. It was indeed Heavy Rain.
Yay!
There was a few people that got it this week, so
There was? Beautiful.
Well
yeah,
done
there
all
was.
round.
I
Well,
don't have
Radicus
here
got
in
it.
front of me, sorry.
Who was it?
You got it there?
Rusky.
Nice.
Was it Big Rusky and Paul? He got it as well.
Beautiful.
Like, if there was anyone else, I'm sorry. Those are just the ones I know of.
It was a good one.
Still a good one.
It was a good one. And by the time this comes out, you'll all understand why it was used last week. So we'll find out some more information about that. We'll be up on the page in the next couple of days. You ready for this week's one?
Yes.
Do it.
Fingers crossed you can hear it.
Nope.
Well, I definitely heard it.
Did it come through like super loud?
No, it was fine.
It was all right.
It was just very quick, so
Yes,
I was like,
it is very
okay.
quick. Would you like it again?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Nope.
See, it's not what I thought it was the first time. See,
Nope.
the first time I heard it, I thought it was yo. But the second time I heard it, I realized it was no.
Laurel. Laurel.
Nope.
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 Nope. You could like spam that and just
Good.
nope.
Just
Nope.
ask
Nope. 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 One more time. We're feeling.
Nope.
No,
That's a tough pick.
Look, it could be anything. It could be a Street Fighter
It's not
character.
anything,
It could be.
Nope. Nope.
Radicus? No, it's not an orc, mate. Not from Middle-earth games, no.
You know what? We're just banning orcs as answers now. We've had our fun with that. Like, last 3 weeks or so, we've had answers where we're just like, so World of Warcraft? Or...
Nope.
Oh,
Is it a fighting game?
Nope.
No, that's good.
Oh, actually, it is. Sorry. Well,
You're really enjoying this.
a little bit. I like this level of power. I don't know if I'll give it back.
Now you understand.
No, I understand. Yes, it's not a fighting game as in like Mortal Kombat or anything like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, look, man. No, that one's too obscure for me this week.
Too obscure.
I can't
Oh,
think it.
we've beaten them. Sure, it's not Snoogs belching. No, it's not me belching. Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Well, there you go. If anyone listening knows what that is or wants to have a stab, make sure you send a message to the Aussie Gamers Express Facebook page. Hit us up over there, or if you're on our Discord server, shoot us a message via whatever, the podcast channel. Make sure you jump in there every day.
Private message. Make it private message.
Private
Otherwise,
message?
everyone
All right,
knows the
yeah.
answer then.
There you go. See, that's why you guys are here.
Got to regulate that power, Snoogs.
Go on.
Running away with it all. Okay, so if that's it, on to last words. You guys got any last words
Not really. Not this week.
this week?
Hi to Luke. He'll be listening. Not now, obviously, but
When you're listening back?
sooner.
Hey,
When
feeling
he
better, mate?
when he edits it,
Yes. We're
I'll
sorry.
be like, hey.
Sorry it needs so much editing
yeah.
for such a short
Just-
show.
Hey, buddy, how's the editing going? Hope it's going well.
Hey Snoogs, hey Greg, hey Rem, editing Lucas here. The editing is going well. It is taking me quite a long time for an hour-long show to edit, but I'm enjoying it because it's content that I haven't actually heard just yet, which is different to the usual. Thank you very much, and I'll catch up with you all next time when I'm on the show. Thank you. See yous.
We miss you.
This is your encouragement message to keep you going for
You're
just a bit
almost
longer.
there. You're
You're
almost
so
there.
close.
We're
Almost
nearly
across
at
the
end.
line. Yeah. It's almost beer o'clock. There we go.
Good stuff.
There's a bunch of people now listening to us going, all right, that's it. This show's really taking a turn for the worse.
This is cool. Well, I do have some last words. Have you guys seen the game Agony?
Sounds like fun.
Well,
Sounds like a kick in the balls.
so
No,
it's a-
no,
it's
I
a-
haven't. To answer your question
I
correctly.
can't believe you haven't. It's a demonic horror game. Well, yeah, Radicus is married.
Ouch.
I'm not allowed to laugh at that, Radicus, for obvious reasons. For obvious
No,
reasons, I have to say That's not funny.
So the console release in Australia has been pushed back to June 8. So it's a demonic horror game, which some have touted as being the most graphically horrific game ever to have been created.
Which is why we got classification in Australia.
Yeah. So that's pretty much seems to be what the issue is.
Sorry. Had to have that step.
So the delay is pretty much for both physical and digital copies on consoles. Steam still seems to be going ahead, which I think is May 29th. Game itself is Kickstarter based, pretty graphic. If you pretty much take control of a tormented soul in hell. That's pretty much the basis of it. And we're talking Seth MacFarlane version of hell.
Oh, not pineapples up asses.
No.
Little Nicky style.
Yeah, not quite that one. Seth MacFarlane, what's his name?
No, you're thinking of not Seth MacFarlane.
Not
You're
Seth,
thinking
that's
of you got the last name right.
MacFarlane.
His first name will come to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Editing Lucas here again. I think the name you're looking for is Todd McFarlane. So, yeah.
So Seth MacFarlane version of Hell would be like a Broadway musical, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I was just thinking that. Just
Yes, it
popped in my
would.
head. But it's MacFarlane. He does all the weird toys and shit too.
Yes. Oh, I'm really annoyed that his name isn't coming to me right now.
Anyway,
I love his work. Anyway.
Think Pinhead.
Yeah, he was
for now. Yeah.
responsible for the art style for Hellraiser, Spawn.
Yep. All that jazz.
Yeah, all that.
All those nice goody things. Yeah, so that's been pushed back, unfortunately, but fingers still crossed it'll come through.
Todd,
there you go.
Yep.
And, of course, I nearly forgot my who the said that.
Ooh, yeah, can't forget that. We're on the edge of our seats. We almost forgot.
Almost fell off the back. What is a man but the sum of his memories? We are the stories we live, the tales we tell ourselves. Has it come to you guys yet?
No, I'm going to kick myself when you tell me, though.
I think you
It
especially.
is Trevor Phillips.
No.
No, I have no idea, dude.
Clay Kaczmarek from
Oh,
Assassin's
him.
Creed Brotherhood.
I have no idea who that is. Who is that?
From Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Yes.
Yes.
you go.
That's where I knew it from.
Yes. See.
I'm going memories. There's a few games I could go on.
Just flipping through the memory banks. Yes, so that's it.
Yes.
That one.
There'll be some smart ass out there that got it.
I hope so.
For sure.
Who knew Clay Kutsamaris' See, I've already forgotten his second name.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go and try and say it again.
Clay. Let's just stick with
Clay.
Clay. His first name.
My
basis.
bro Clay.
My bro Clay.
Well, that's it, guys. That's the end of the show.
We made it.
We made it.
We made it. All without Uncle Luke's help.
No, I'm proud of us.
He's still got to help us a lot to actually make it acceptable show. Puts it all
I
together.
mean, it will still need his
Thanks,
delicate
bro.
touch
Yes.
to make it what it normally is. But
Please
to be
massage
fair,
it nicely.
we didn't dishevel into complete anarchy while he wasn't here.
No, not yet. Anyway,
Not yet.
No.
We'll do it right.
not yet. I am still recording.
Yeah, excellent. There's still time.
At least I hope I am. Yes, good. Well, you don't know these things. The amount of times I kept checking everything to make sure it was all recording. I hope it has.
I feel like there's going to be a big cut out of this section here.
Probably.
Look,
All right.
even Radicus is finishing this up quicker than we are. He's just saying, good night, good show, night.
Yeah, well, State of Decay
So
finished downloading.
I get the feeling that he's calling it.
He's calling it. It's done.
Yep.
Well, guys, thank you very much for joining me. I hope hope you have had a bit of fun. Thanks, Radicus.
Absolutely.
Thanks. You
Wow,
did
that derailed it.
tell us what it was really for. Yes, so back to that again. Thanks, guys. I hope you've had a bit of fun tonight. You had a bit of fun?
Yes, totally.
Good.
Always have fun.
Well, everyone else that's listening, thank you for getting this far through us rambling and carrying on. To Lucas, sorry. Thanks for the edit. I'll talk to you soon.
For
Thank
those that are still listening, this week's code word is poo time.
Poo time. That's the code word for this week. Throw it in our Discord. Let us know you're still going.
I'm proud of you if you've made it this far. But
If you've made it this far, we're extra proud of you.
Yep.
So I have nothing else left to say except for I've got to go first this week. I don't know if I like that.
That you do.
I do.
Oh my goodness.
Stuff up everything,
I know. Everyone's going to be out of whack.
which means I have to go last.
I know. More
Right.
edits are needed. So that's it. See you all next week. I have been Snoogs.
I've been Remutha.
And I've been Grejio.
Toodles!
See ya.
Peace.
Well, here we are once again at the end of this week's show. If you're still hungry for more video game content, then head over to the Aussie Gamers Express Facebook page and give us a like. We also have a heavy presence over on Twitter and YouTube, and their links are waiting for you in the podcast description. This podcast is available for your convenience through Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and more. Thanks again for listening. Catch you all on the next episode of the Aussie Gamers Express Video Game Podcast.